Hey, what's up, guys? This is Wizardry I am giving a special presentation of this game called Wizardry Gaiden, Throb of the Demon's Heart. This is actually Wizardry 4 of the Wizardry Gaiden series. If you didn't know already, it's a spin-off of the Wizardry series of 1 to 8. There's been a couple of these series out for the handheld, precisely the Gameboy versions. This one is translated for the Super Famicom, or in this case, the Super Nintendo version. And that actually gives special attention. Before I proceed, though, let me go to the options menu. What's probably neat about this game is, for one thing, it has a menu mode. You can play this game where you're going through the dungeon. You can save while only in town, which is definitely no. You definitely don't want to do that, especially in your first playthrough. Like all Wizardry games, the game is saved when you go through doors with monsters or after you finish a monster battle. That's how the way it is. Then you get speakers, sound, walls. You don't want to do that because it's actually a pretty game. Music is mostly Asian type, so if you don't like Asian music of the old variety, you might want to mute it. There's a lot of it. And you get window transfer, you don't want to do that. So I'm just going to show you what the game is like. I already started already, so I have a party already in the castle. So I'm going to do is I'm going to create. So these symbols here, this is for inspecting a party. This is if you want to arrest the party, or if you don't want to waste gold and basically get your party healed. The third one is when you want to buy equipment. This is in case your little party gets wiped or killed or paralyzed for that matter, among other things. And this is we go out, but I'm not going up because I don't have a party at the moment. So let's go to the create option. Now, of course, you start at I guess it's the dojo, if you call it. So, if you didn't already, if you're familiar with the Wizard games, this screen should be very familiar. The coordinate is basically if you played Wizardry Gaiden 3, so you don't have to do that. Now, if you didn't know what the Wizardry series is, basically you make a party up to 6, and then you go traverse to floor, either up or down, and you fight monsters, you get your equipment, upgrade it, you fight some bosses, you get money, you upgrade, and so forth and so forth. So this game is actually quite different than the rest. You still get these pretty much the classics from of the old Wizardry series, but you also get the updated ones, which came out later in the series, like 6, 7, and 8. Different classes, different races, and alignments play heavily on this game here, especially if you want to equip certain items. So let's go to the create option. So you go enter a name here. So you got your Japanese, and you got your English, and you got whatever. So let's make a character called like. Again, names don't really matter. Now, see all this. This is what's new to the series here. Basically, you got your human. They suck. Elf is good if you want to make a bishop, pretty much. They're pretty good for magic. Dwarf is a pretty heavy fighter, and in this particular version, I'm not sure about the earlier versions, but they're pretty resistant to poison, but they're your heavy hitters. So if you're making a good fighter, you probably want a dwarf. Gnomes are I think they're good for being a clerical type, but otherwise they're okay. Hobbits is your thieves. Fairies is actually pretty much unique in the series. As you see here, they do have a low AC when you first start out, but they have limited items to equip with, so that's a big factor if you decide to make a fairy. But, however, you can see there they have very high IQ and agility, so if you want to make a class that uses IQ, then go ahead. Lizmen is like dwarfs, they do have high strength and vitality. Actually, one of my main characters is Lizard. They get extremely high hit points and brute strength, but they're pretty much stupid as anything. But if you want to go fighter, that's the way to go. Dracula is a unique race. They're pretty much a little above average hit points. I mention that because they actually have a special attack called Breath. They use it once per battle. They use half their hit points and they throw acid on an enemy, and they either get hit or they get resisted or no effect. So it's actually pretty good. It's pretty a good ability, especially when you have groups of enemies. It gets rid of them pretty fast. Your raw wolf is pretty much your werewolf. They're okay somewhat. They have the resist cold ability in case you get hit by cold spells, which indeed a lot. The mook is your monkey, yeah. And Felipar is pretty much like the werewolf, except they're cats. They're more specifically concentrate on high IQ and agility, and evade various attacks, whatever that means there. Maybe they evade critical hits, I'm not quite sure. But actually, he or she will be, I think, my Psionics? Psionics. That's actually a new class in the game here. So, just for preparation purposes, let's make a. Oh yeah, by the way, if you're making alignment, I should mention before, it also affects your race. Now, it affects your what class you want to be. For example, you can't be, if you know already, an evil lord from the earlier Wizardry games there. But let's go Felpor. And if you want to be a male or female, male get +1 strength, females get +1 vitality. Makes a little difference. So let's make a female. Good, neutral, evil. Again, like earlier Wizardry games, it affects what class you want to be, and also affects what kind of equipment that you find. Because if you decide to equip certain items, you'll be cursed. Of course, to get rid of the curse, you can either go to town, or depending what class, you can actually remove it. Oh, of course, it's a high level. So let's go with neutral. So this is just an example. For we know what it is. Mage is like the earlier Wizardry games that cast high attack spells. However, I think they got in this particular version they got rid of 4 or 5 spells, some useful. So yeah, thief is of course what you expect. They can actually unlock doors, which you're gonna have to do. Um, you need to have at least a thief in the party. You'll see during my walk through there. Ranger, actually, I should mention a thief. You probably don't want to be maybe a thief. You probably want to be maybe a ranger or one of those, so they call it hybrid races. Ranger has mentioned their thief abilities. They can hide and attack. They also have a special ability to cast spells. I think in the alchemy department. I'll mention alchemy later like one down here. They can also equip unique items such as balls, and of course, depending what race you are, well, it's just go from there. They're actually pretty good, but they can only equip certain weapons and certain armors. So take the key of that. Bard is also a unique race. It's almost like the Ranger, but they can pretty much average in everything. I guess I mentioned before, they do have some good thief abilities, just like the Ranger. But they also have the only class can use instruments, which you can't buy right away. They can only be found in dungeons. I'm not quite sure if the items used can wear down and be destroyed. But I'm not planning to use any bard anytime soon. Then, of course, you get the special class called the Alchemist. They actually have unique spells they can use, which is actually the Alchemist shows up in later Wizardry games. They're pretty much it's almost like the not mostly but like the yeah pretty much the mage. They can debuff them and also increase your armor class. They also have unique ability to actually increase your attack power in your party as well. So that's actually quite useful. And actually, depending on the spell, it could last duration while you're in a dungeon, which is most beneficial. And as I mentioned earlier, they are the class that can actually decurse in case you get cursed, equipping certain items. So that's actually pretty good. Now, the classes that are not there are the priest. Of course, it's like earlier Wizardry games. They can, of course, heal, which is very beneficial in this game because you're going to be hit a lot. What else is there? Oh yeah, priests. Just like the mages, they also what's the word? They lose some of their good spells. So it's probably best if you're going for like a healer, you might want to try the hybrid classes. What else is there? The priests. Oh yeah, let's mention for us. Psionics. They can be neutral or evil. I don't have the points for it to show you. Plus, I can't go back either to. I can't go back to previous screens, which pretty much stuck in the screen until you're committed, or you can pretty much save state before you get to this part of the screen there. Psionics pretty much controls people's minds. They can hit groups of enemies, or like a DOT, damage over time. For example, there's a spell called uh, I don't think. Am I thinking about the right one? No, no. I'm actually thinking about the Alchemist. Sorry. The psionics affect the mind, so you can actually hit them with mind attacks, which cause madness. In some ways, they can also charm enemies. I think that's also a class that you can actually heal. The first spell you get is called Diomas, Diomas. Sorry, it's been some of these new spells is pretty hard to remember actually what they would do, especially again in combat. They also have a map spell later on. You probably and spell. I think that's I believe it's called Macalma, I believe. Um, yeah, so there can be neutral or evil class. Other classes. Sorry, I'm trying to think right off the hand here. I think. Oh yeah, there's Lord as I mentioned. They can, that's also a hybrid class, but they all can be good. Ninjas can only be evil. I'm not quite sure in this version if you can get items that can actually transform somebody to a ninja. So that's if you want to be an evil ninja, you gotta make sure you don't have any good people in your party. Samurai is a big thing than the early wizardry classes. And basically, in a nutshell, they actually have more equipment to use, more weapons, and not only that, fighters in this game here you can actually dual wield. Of course, depending on the equipment that you use. For example, you can't have like two long swords. You gotta have like a one weapon that's short, like the dagger slicing or the dagger speed, which I will get when I go one of the towers there. So let's be ranger here. So you notice here the points are already aligned to being a ranger. So I'm gonna keep this character. So the game already knows that I'm pretty weak ranger. So to compensate for it, I have to train for a couple years, so that way I can survive during the dungeon, which is really good. So 4 points is pretty low for ranger. Core back, you just notice there I got pretty bad strength. 7 points, and I get spells from their class there, which come a little handy, but they're pretty much going to only be attacking. And I believe that is it for the classes. I can't remember anything else. Samurai Lord. Oh, yeah. One of the classes unique is called the Valkyrie. It's kind of like the Lord, but you have to be a female and you have to be neutral. And they're actually one of the classes that can actually hold special weapons like the lance or spear. That's only them that can wield an attack. But I found that since it has to equip other weapons, I probably recommend to use them. Um, the only useful about maybe the two weapons they can actually use them in the back row, which of course is beneficial, but useful anyways. Uh, there's the bard, the alchemy, the bishop, the ninja. Oh yeah, there's also the monk. The monk is can use two cores two at the same time. Of course, their classes also limited. But like also, I did mention the fairy being having low AC. When they gain up levels, the monk also has their AC lowered as well. And of course, I mentioned about the ninja. And that's pretty much it. There's quite a bit of classes to choose from, and if you're making a class there, you can also you can get the bonus points, and you can put a whole bunch of points in them. That way, you don't need to train for 3 years, which is, of course is always good. So this is personally, this is my party here that I made for tackling one of the towers. So I should probably mention this game. You don't have to. There's 4 towers you have to go to retrieve a certain item. The item is specific. You have to feed what's called a Lord Vassal. Or in any case, there may be no boss there when you get to it. But anyway, that's another story there. Um, So basically, there's four towers. You can go in any order. So you basically go up and down, solve puzzles, meet people, etc., etc. Flip switches, void or go through pits, and once you get a certain item, you need to back out. Then you find out once you complete the tower, the other three towers you need to go next. Well, they'll be invaded, and the traps and and all that, they actually will be turned off or turned on because they're invaded. All the NPCs that might be in a tower will be gone or dead or whatnot. So that can actually affect your progress there. Easier, harder, it all depends. So that's basically in a nutshell. This game doesn't have no time limit, but the games could be frustrating and nice at the same time. But if you go to other towers, though, well, one tower being defeated, it actually, especially if you're looking through a walkthrough, sometimes the NPC or the trap may or may not be there, and that could be baffling, especially to progress. Again, it could be easy, it could be hard. Anyway, we shall see. But anyway, that's pretty much it at this point here. So I'm going through what's called the Tower. I don't think I can go anyway. No members are out. Can I explore? Oh, shop. So basically, what's called the Tower of Stillness. Basically, it's like what ninjas, samurais, in the tower, not only going up, also going down. The Witchery has the fairies. One of the towers has undead, and there's another fourth tower. So that's pretty much it. I'm sorry for the long uh, uh, of what this game is. Then once you go through all four of them, then another one will show up and just go from there. I haven't decided myself how far I'm going through this game. This game is actually quite long and quite frustrating. So I'm going to start with my default party. I'll just show you anyway. So he's a fighter lizard man. Sorry, Valkyrie, Doggy, I think. Robert. Bolt is my ranger. He's the one that does the breath. Melody is the fairy alchemist. Malky is the feline PSI, and of course my identifier wizard Sia. And Ike is going to die. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to take them all at low levels. I'm going to go through the tower and then proceed from there. And hopefully, we'll see what happens. So just go from there. So hopefully, just continue watching the video or the series, at least for the first tower, and then we'll go from there. So let's get started.